So welcome everybody to my video. It's been quite a few months since I actually did post a video on this channel, but I've dedicated quite a few hours into my build. I'm still not done, and it's going to be a very long time before I'm actually done with this build. But if you actually look at my previous videos, you'll see that there's been some massive changes to sections of this build. And you know what, it's like an addiction. I just cannot help it. I just want to build and build and build. And you know, best thing for me to do is to just build, share it with everybody, maybe get some tips and ideas from other people, maybe have some people get some tips and ideas from me, because really Conan has such a robust building system that I don't know why more people don't actually take advantage of it. So anyway, what I'm going to do in this video is I just want to go through the perimeter of all my actual buildings, because I know people love to build, and that's great and all, but one other thing that I love to do is I actually love to build inside, and I love to actually decorate inside as well to make it more livable, more real. You know, it's not just an empty shell that exists on a plateau. There's things inside. It makes it feel like it's got a lived-in atmosphere. So I'm not going to go into each and every little section in this video. Might just dip in here and there, but in general I just want to go through a quick fly through over the periphery of everything, and then at a later date I'll start to go through a tour of the individual builds, because it's quite extensive. Secondly, I just want to apologize. I'm not running the best system. I'm running like an old GTX 970, so I do apologize if everything is going to be a bit jerky graphically, because especially when it comes to the lighting, it can really play havoc with the graphics card and obviously the game engine. So I do apologize if it's not really smooth as butter, but you know, that's what I have to deal with, but hopefully it won't be too encroaching on the experience. So nonetheless, let's start from the outside quickly. So this is the outside of my build. This is my main gate. You can see to the left and to the right I've got the ramparts. So there's a rampart to the left, there's a rampart to the right, and then obviously I've got my main entrance in the front there. I've already got all my warriors and my fighters and my archers on the ramparts and in the front, and you can pretty much see them there. So like I said, I'm just going to go through a periphery of what everything looks like. So you come onto the beach. The reality is that where the wooden fence, that's as far as you can build, and unfortunately there was no way to build on the outside here up to the water, so that's the furthest I could build out. So that's why I started the build there. So you can see what I tried to do is I tried to mix and match all the different themes, storm glass, and this at the end of the day is going to be black ice. So you can see that there's bits and pieces, and I tried to mix and match instead of just sticking with storm glass. But the reality is that storm glass is such a nice building theme that I don't know why they don't create more themes like storm glass at the end of the day. I know this is the highest tier that you can really get to as far as I'm aware with building outside of black ice. But you know, there's just so much they can do with the glass and everything. I just don't know why they don't just build more different themes around this whole principle of glass and so forth so on. But hey, at least it's black, and the color black pretty much goes with any other color. So anyway, as I said, there's the ramparts on the side there. Just behind the ramparts you'll see that's the throne room. And then if I look on that side here, that over there is the tavern, part of the tavern. And then at the back there, that's all my workshops. So I'll take you up this ramp. Let's pop up here. Okay, and then voila. This here is what I'm just calling for now the Royal Boulevard. I try to make it as attractive as possible. This, I believe, is Argosian, if I remember correctly. Sorry, this is Aquilian. And this is Argosian. And then I also mixed in a bit of Numidian, I think this is. Let me just double check. And I think it is Numidian. Sorry, Turanian. So that's Turanian at the end of the day. And then obviously that's more storm glass. But let me just give a quick overview here. This is like a boulevard. It's just a little walkway between structures. Unfortunately, when I first built this, if you look at my previous videos, this was just empty. This was just sandstone. and I had a whole pile of rubbish on there, like statues and flags and everything, just so that I knew what was available to build with. But I thought, it looks so unsightly, let me fix it. So I spent a couple of hours and I built it, and I created this little boulevard at the end of the day. And I tried to incorporate different shapes, like I got some ramps on the side to just make it look more attractive and interesting. Instead of just being just straight shapes, it becomes a bit boring at the end of the day to just be straight shapes. And there we go, the magic of storm glass. I just love the whole glass effect. I just wish more building themes had this capability. So if I look at the entrance from the other side, I've got the banners on either side of the fence, on either side of the gate. And I put down a couple of plants as well, just to make it look a bit more attractive. So on the side there, that's a tavern. You can see from the sign, this is the outside of the tavern. If I swing around here, these are the steps that will lead up to, let me just pop down here so I can give you a better view. These are the steps that will lead up to the throne room. As you can see, once again, using a bit of shapes and statues and everything to just make it look a bit more attractive than what it would if it was just square and straight lines and everything along the lines. So that's the throne room. If I actually come from the top here, you can get a top view of what it looks like in terms of the boulevard. So you can see there the boulevard runs down the middle, the throne room to the left, and the tavern to the right, with the workshops in the corner. Don't worry about everything on the extreme top part. I'll pop in there just now. So let's just shoot down here again. Okay, pick up speed. Okay, so we'll come here up the boulevard. Once again, trying to mix and match with the different themes, Argosian and Stormglass. This bush, something I figured out a while ago before we actually started to add in things like plants and foliage with the new updates, even though I still think it's massively lacking. I just literally use planters and stack them on top of each other to just kind of get an external effect of a garden or greenery. It's not ideal, it's not neat and tidy. I literally just, if you actually come there, you can actually just see I've got planters on top of planters on top of planters, just to add a bit of greenery, or else it just looks very boring and dull at the end of the day. Everything to just make it look a bit more attractive. So to the left here, I chose the religion of Mitra as my primary religion, especially when I first started the game, because Mitra has those healing brews that help you quite dramatically in your battle. So that's pretty much just the temple of Mitra. And then on this side here, that's the entrance to all my workshops, and you can see all the signage there. Pretty about the clipping between the signs. You can see the storm glass clips between everything. I suppose I could have maybe put the walls the other way around, because if I remember correctly, the back side of the storm glass doesn't have the ridges, but then the other side would look a bit weird where everything was flat and one section was those ridges. So that's unfortunate, and obviously more of the banners lying on the side there, just to add a bit of color at the end of the day, because then it becomes a bit boring and dreary. So once again, all the statues of Mitra that I've got here, or this is the statue of refreshment if I remember correctly, but I think it is part of the Mitra pack. And then obviously come here, and then this is pretty much everything from another angle. Just a nice relaxing chilled out spot where people can walk, very well lit up. Obviously at night this becomes very, very well lit up. And actually if I do it now, I can actually show you now what it may look like. So let's just quickly come here and we'll put it into night, and you can just see it just adds a bit more color to everything, or just gives it a bit more of a warm glow at the end of the day. And obviously being storm glass, you've got all the reflections and colors, all the light that shines through the glass at the end of the day. But this is pretty much what it looks like during the night, once it goes very dark. And let's be dead honest, this game gets very dark at night. So we'll come back, let's come back down to noon, just so that it's a bit more clearer to see and brighter, and you can see in the distance. So once again, I do have a lot of the DLC and a lot of the bazaar stuff. I have been buying the bazaar items and all the different additions in terms of the battle pass. So maybe eventually what I might do is add a bit of color to these, because the DLC and the bazaar stuff and a lot of the lighting in the game pass, so in the battle pass, actually comes in different colors now, all the different flame effects. So nonetheless, those are the stands. That's the king's stand, and then the sun is the queen stand if you want, and then obviously the helmet is pretty much the king stand. So we carry on along here. I've just got that Thor sitting there because she was just a very effective thrall, and just excuse the name, but I mean, let's be dead honest, an arse is pretty much the thing that carries a lot of weight around. I mean, people used them years ago to actually do most of the heavy lifting and carrying. So nonetheless, those steps lead up to the royal chambers. I am in a bit of a pickle with that. I will explain that just now, but I'm kind of like stuck now with that, because I've kind of like decided to build the royal chambers and the royal household somewhere else. I'll show that just now if I've got time, but for now that was supposed to be the royal chamber. So the idea was that this was a King's Boulevard, that was a throne room over there, this was the royal religion, which is the Mitra religion, there was the main workshops to keep the royal household running, and then in the corner there I'll take you to the barracks, and then obviously all that led up to the royal chambers. And that section over there, if we just, let me just pop up here and let me just come around here, that whole section over there is supposed to be the horizontal elevator through to the royal chambers, because as I said, that whole building over there was supposed to be the royal chambers at the end of the day. But now you can see in the distance there, hasn't quite rendered in, but I've decided to turn that into the royal chambers up there. I don't think I've had time to show you that now, because obviously I want this video to be running into like half an hour, 45 minutes, but I mean, there's much more on that side. So I think for now, let me just stick to this section here, which is the older part of my build and is comparable to my older videos, if anybody actually wants to see what this looked like before I did all this building. So let's pop down here again. Let's come in here. Once again, there's my workshops. Here's the boulevard. We'll go up the boulevard. As I said, that used to be the ex-royal chambers. And then over here, these are my barracks. So if I come through here, you know, I'm just following you. I'm just taking you with me on this little movement so that you can create some context in terms of location. That in the front is a prison. I'm still busy with the interior of that. But that's supposed to be like a prison cell or a prison area. To the left, we've got the fighters' barracks. That's sitting over there with the statue. Okay. And then to the right, you've got the archers' barracks over here. If I come up here, you'll actually see they're pretty much designed exactly the same, the structures. They're very similar in shape and everything, because it's like, well, there was no reason to make them any different. So maybe if I pop up here, you'll be able to see from this angle up here that you can see they're pretty similar in shape. The idea being is that the top part of the chambers, or the top part of the barracks, would be the living quarters, and then the bottom part of the barracks would be the eating quarters. Okay, and then this little section over here, this is like an arena where, you know, the king can sit there and the royal household or some special VIP guests, and they can just be awed by the might and the power of the king's forces. You know, and they can, and he can sit there and he can just be wild and say, hey, these are my fighters. You know, don't let anybody ever think they can take over my kingdom, because it ain't gonna happen. Once again, using bits and pieces, this is the arena theme. Well, that's not. This is the, if I remember correctly, this is the reinforced stone wall theme, or reinforced stone theme. And this is the arena theme. And likewise, the prison was built using the arena theme as well at the end of the day. Now, if I come behind the archer section, right, this is the archery range where the archers can practice their skill and hone their skills so that they're not absolutely laid to waste when they're out on the battlefield at the end of the day. Try to vary the heights and locations and distance of the targets just to make it a bit more interesting as well. Then you'll see in the back here, we've actually got a very tall, very high wall. I'll take you over there just now, and you can see that I've tried my best to build up and enclose this whole area so that it feels more like a castle and a kingdom than just like this big open area. And you can see this is the back end of the ramparts that I showed you from the front. This is the back end on the side here, and then obviously over here, this is a continuation. These two spots here, I'll show you those when I go into the dive with the individual locations, but those are pretty much just the VIP locations. Put the fire under there. Had the idea that maybe those can be the floor warmers, you know, not like they had central heating in these places like we do in modern times. So I thought, hey, you know what, maybe that can be like central heating type of effect. And this structure over here, this is pretty much for the thralls, and these are the thralls living quarters as well over there. So yeah, that's the archery range. That's what it looks like from this angle. And as you can see, I also tried my best not to encroach too much on the trees and everything like that, just to get a bit of green into this design as well. So let me just quickly shoot up here. These areas here are obviously the arenas for the fighters to practice and hone their skills, just like the archers have the archery range to do the same. Now, as I said, this is the prison. I'm still busy with the internals and the interior decorating of this, but let me just actually pop over here, and you can see the wall, yeah, how I built the wall for level upon level, to just kind of create that effect at the end of the day. And then obviously that's the gate. So let me actually show you what it looks like from this side. You can see this is the starting area for Isle of Siptah. So come up there, come up here, open this door, and boom, this is like another boulevard that I thought would just look very smart to have some sort of driveway leading up to or roadway leading up to what was going to be the royal quarters. So I come in here, give you context once again. There's the prison, there's the barracks over there on the other side there, and the King's Boulevard, and then obviously that was the front where I started, and there's the throne room over there. So you come here, you come along here, right, travel along here. I just had to do a bit of an angle to get around these trees to incorporate them. Well, quite frankly, you can't even knock these trees down anyway. They are pretty much fixed elements of the environment. Come here, move along here, come up here, and then obviously when you get to here, you get to the entrance of the royal quarters. As I said, this is no longer the royal quarters. I don't know what I'm going to turn it into now. I really don't know, but I'll have to think of something, because really I put all this effort into this building and I really don't feel like knocking it down to accommodate a change in plans at the end of the day. So once again, this is the inside of the wall. Laid down all the sandstone to just give an idea of the limitations of the environment where I could work, and then obviously that would continue here. Now this section over here was going to be a garden that I was going to build. That's why I didn't really build it and left a big open area, because it had this nice little like rune feature in the middle there, which was just like an interesting POI that would have been nice to incorporate into a garden environment. And that's pretty much what I wanted to do here, because it was nice and shady with all these big trees, and I thought, you know what, this would be a very nice environment just to make it like a garden. So I might still do that. I'm not going to go further into this. As I said, I'm just going on the periphery. We're really going into 20 minutes now. I don't want to make this a long video, but this is the other angle from everything. You can see in the foreground you've got the barracks, in the background you've got the tavern, over here you've got the Royal Boulevard, to the right of that you've got the Mitra Temple, and then you've got the throne room over there, and then as I said, this was the royal quarters. So just to whet your appetite or whet your interest, you can see I've got a massive arena being built over there with a dock. I've got some more religious areas at the back there, and then up the top there I've got the royal residences that I am busy with at this moment in time. So you know what, in another video I will take you through that, show you those areas. You can see what I'm busy with there. As I said, I'm open to ideas, I'm open to suggestions. I've installed a mod that will allow me to, I think it's called nursery something mod, that will actually allow me to create trees. So I want to put a couple of palm trees in the front here, just make it a bit more interesting instead of just having plain simple brown sand. So, you know, like I said, things are going to change. I got some more bits and pieces to change and add here to make it a bit more interesting. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully it gave you some ideas for some builds. I'm always open to some ideas from your side, so please, by all means, drop a comment below, give me some suggestions. Thank you very much for taking the time to pretty much go through this walkthrough, and you know what, I'll go into further details with the interior at a later date. Okay, thanks a lot, Cheers.